The French Open was just won by Coco Gauff, and believed that would be the largest time in her life. Next, an Italian Giovanni Moretti, a billionaire, dubbed suddenly made an offer to her. That caused her to cry uncontrollably in front of her entire crew. What he suggested to her parents wasn't simply giving. In some ways, it changed my life. That surpassed any tennis title she'll ever win.
But she found a way. Here she's giving her mother a hug, her mom, who was praying on TV, then her dad, Corey.
Have you ever experienced a situation where someone's generosity entirely overpowered you? Tell your tale in the remarks below. Now let's discuss what just occurred, because this is one of those uncommon tales in which reality seems more unbelievable than fiction. Coco Gauff had recently triumphed at the French Open, which is already a tremendous accomplishment and the majority of athletes spend their whole careers pursuing. She was clutching the prize, handling all media responsibilities and acknowledging that she had defeated Roland Garros following the dissatisfaction with what transpired at Wimbledon. Life was pleasant, and work was going well. Track, everything appeared to be ideal. Next, her boss stormed into the room, looking as if he had reported seeing a ghost to her. Had to answer a call right away. The Giovanni was the person on the other end. Moretti, a millionaire from Italy who is renowned for possessing private islands, managing large-scale business activities, and genuinely enjoying tennis. This wasn't a random wealthy man attempting to purchase his way into prominence. Moretti had spent years observing Coco's career. They respected not only her skill but also her character, her tenacity, and most crucially, the familial ties that had brought her to this point. He didn't squander time engaging in trivial conversation or beyond the essentials. Congratulations. He went directly to what he truly desired to talk about. Moretti posed a straightforward question to Coco, inquiry that instantly altered the conversation's tone. "How are you, family?" That one statement struck a different note, because it demonstrated his understanding, something that most people fail to notice when they watch athletes compete. Behind each champion serves as a network of support that gave up all to create their dreams come true. Corey, Coco's parents, and Candy had worked for years. Several jobs, making the most of every dollar, and prioritizing their own needs in order to their daughter may pursue her tennis career. Dreams. Coco made an effort to remain calm and declared that they were doing all right, which is what you say when you don't want to give the whole truth to anyone. However, Moretti didn't ask out of courtesy. Curiosity. He wanted to know, since he was ready to provide a proposal that would radically alter their lives. He expressed his desire to present Coco's parents with roles in his organization as personal consultants for development. They would accompany her on trips, encourage her profession, and assistance with sporting efforts he was launching. He then let go of the number $200,000 each month. The globe paused for Coco at that precise time. She was unable to talk. Her throat constricted. Immediately, tears began to form. This was no longer about tennis. This wasn't about awards, rankings, or sponsorships. This has to do with her parents. Never again will I have to battle. This was about years of suffering at last becoming acknowledged and compensated in a manner that genuinely mattered. She put pressure on her hand across her mouth, attempting to comprehend what she recently heard. And all she was able to do to murmur that she was unsure of what to express. In response, Moretti said something that made the entire situation much more strong. He instructed her to be silent. That she had made millions of people happy via her tennis. He now desired to return the favor by making sure she parents received the consolation they were due. At that point, Coco lost it. These weren't depressing or tension. These were relieved tears. Thankfulness and intense feeling regarding the implications of this for those who had provided her with everything.
Today was the first time I've ever seen my dad cry. He doesn't want me to tell you all that, but he got caught in 4K. You know, he thinks he's so hard, but you know, it's not. So thank you guys. I mean, you believed in me from the beginning. I've been coming to this tournament. My dad took me to this tournament, sitting right there watching Venus and Serena compete. So it's really incredible to be on this stage. You know, growing up, you know, there wasn't too many just black tennis players dominating the sport. It was literally, I mean, at that time when I was younger, it was just them that I can remember. And obviously more came because of their legacy, so it made the dream more believable. But all the things that they had to go through, they made it easier for someone like me.
To comprehend why this struck so deeply, you need to understand the complete details of what Coco's parents survived. The general public observes the glitzy aspect of professional tennis. The sponsorships, the stadiums, the magazine covers, and the admirers of celebrities, they fail to notice the years of financial hardship that preceded any off that. Coco's parents were waiting at work tables, cleaning, and mentoring whenever they were able to locate customers, and juggling travel and finances, all the time costs associated with junior competitions. There were occasions when they didn't eat, so Coco was able to eat healthily prior to the games. They lived for a few months, paycheck to paycheck, while attempting to finance her growth.
Dad, Candy, Corey, congrats. We saw you closing your eyes for some of this match. When your daughter steps up to that line, serve for her second major, where are your thoughts going?
First, get your serve in and make sure that you stay under control, and that as long as you have another point, you have another chance. And just don't get upset if someone makes a shot. So it's like you have another point, so let's go out and play. Yeah.
I'm not going to ask where your thoughts were going. I'm going to ask where you were going. You don't watch it from out there. Where were you? How'd you experience this?
I kind of move around behind the scenes. I try to find a quiet corner and look at it on my iPad, and then I make notes. And sometimes I'm texting her and texting the coaches if I see something I think they can't see.
Even when Coco gained international recognition and began earning money through tennis, her parents kept up their usual employment. It wasn't necessary for them to financially at that time. It was due to pride, modesty, and not wishing to depend only on their daughter's earnings. They had expended their lives working and were unable to simply turn off a switch, even if the situation shifted. Coco had stated several times during interviews that her parents put in more effort than anyone else is aware. Additionally, you could hear the weight in her tone when discussing it.
Understandably, I see your emotional tears in your eyes still. What did today represent?
It represents, like Coco alluded to before, that sometimes when you have a loss and you get down on yourself, but learning that you can pick up, the sun will rise the next day, and just keep working at your craft. If this is your passion, you got to give it your all. And what Coco did today was amazing. She never gave up. She fought to the end, and she gave herself the opportunity to hold up the trophy.
This pressure started to contribute to what motivated Coco. Observing her parents' struggles. Money served as a quiet incentive that forced her to attend additional practice sessions. They sustained her when she felt like giving up. Following her defeat at Wimbledon, which broke her emotionally. Assurance, she assured herself that she couldn't disappoint her family, and that she had to continue battling because no sacrifice could be made in vain. That pressure and suffering turned into the fuel that helped her win the French Open. She wasn't playing for herself alone. However, for those who had given up anything to help her get there. When all of that was offered by Moretti, history flooded back. This wasn't purely financial or employment related. This concerned her parents' eventual able to breathe following years of holding anything by means of sheer determination and willpower. Coco's group observed her crying while on the phone. Then they became aware of what they were seeing. Something much more important than a commercial agreement. This belonged to a daughter. Wished to look after her parents, fulfilling in a manner she was never able to have thought about. Following her departure from the phone, Coco needed to inform her parents of what simply occurred. They were in the subsequent room, thinking she was simply overburdened by pressure from the media or the feeling of obtaining a Grand Slam victory. Rather, she entered shaking and with burning eyes. Hands collapsed into their embrace and muttered that they were not required to labor. No longer because someone desired to take care of them. Her mom began to cry. First, normally stoic, her father, and calm, carefully took a seat. Unable to speak. The dollar wasn't the issue here. Quantity. This was about at last being freed from decades of financial strain and sacrifice. The wider this story's background makes it even more strong. Athletes converse constantly about wanting to look after their families, and a large number of them agreements and recommendations, but there's something distinct about an exterior benefactor acknowledging the sacrifice of parents and taking over to respect that in such a straightforward manner. Moretti lacked to carry out this task. He is a billionaire with a plethora of other ways to spend his money. However, he noticed something about Coco's family narrative that spoke to him, and he chose to respond to it in a manner that would radically alter their lives. The sum itself is astounding when you truly dissect it. $200,000 each month each indicates that Coco's parents are now earning $400,000 in total each and every month. That comes to $4.8 million annually. 4. Individuals who work several jobs for years. Jobs that are only necessary to make ends meet, such as a financial stability, is actually transformative. They won't ever need to worry about bills once more. They will never must forego meals or worry about trip costs or ponder how they're able to pay for the upcoming competition. That burden has entirely vanished. However, beyond the monetary component, there's the psychological and emotional comfort this offers. Coco had been transporting the burden of wanting to pay her parents back for all that they had done. Additionally, that she was experiencing mental effects from pressure, even though she didn't always discuss it in public. Following her defeat at Wimbledon, she acknowledged that the demands and she had been affected by pressure